boards go that far. So credit to Levi for even making it here. We will see if he can actually figure out some sort of a clever way to get an advantageous matchup. But it is tough because Uzi is a guy who is comfortable on every single marksman, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he is so damn good. So great. Kallista's banned out now. Draven was banned by Uzi. We already have the Vayne and the Lucian taken down, but Varus was played earlier by Uzi. You know, he is a guy also who, when mages were meta, he still won that year. He did actually just walk over and he's like, oh, no, that's fine. I'll just play mages and beat all the mid laners with that. That's fine.
Like he was early to 2019, you know? Drops down the Darius here as well. I'm curious what he thinks is going to be counterpicked on that one.
Okay, Akali.
Plenty of marksmen still available, right? Tristan Darius, as you mentioned, once he's played earlier in this tournament. There's the Trist indeed. So, said, you know, Darius, if he apprehends of a rocket jump, that's a bad matchup. Let's not have that one happen. Draven's a better one-on-one auto attacker. So, like, the bans are champions that were good into Trist, leaves that one up, has that play. And this will be an exciting matchup. I think there's room for play on both sides.
Yeah, we did see FLICKR actually lose to this matchup as Akali, but FLICKR, didn't have his ultimate for when that sudden death came up, right? And FLICKR had been dominating the matchup actually on the Akali. He really did look very strong in that 1v1, but used the ultimate too close to when the sudden death was going to come up, and that was kind of the defining moment of that head-to-head of Tristana versus Akali. So we'll see if Levi versus Uzi looks a little bit different. I am really scared for Levi because I just feel like no one pushes advantages in the early game better than Uzi.
Yeah,
both on Summoner's Rift, and it seems like here, right?
Abyss, yeah.
And so it's just so scary to think, all right, you're on Akali, you're up against Uzi's Tristana. Is he just going to kill your tower? Like, are you just going to lose the game straight up before you even get to fight him? That is something that would be in the back of my mind going up against Uzi. Like, do I need to force an early fight? Am I going to be getting too far behind? But let's see if Levi can play it out as well as he's going to need to take down Uzi. We are mirrored on the combat summoners. Ignite barrier for both players. Levi will have his opportunities. I think your best chance probably is to be able to wait until you can get to that Gunblade, wait until the Ring of Fire, have everything available, and try to win that one all-in against Uzi.
See if you can make that one happen. Arm Guard's going to be stacking up at the beginning. I still expect Jarm's Fist to come through at some point for Uzi. I think it is a smart pickup. It's good stats, but we'll see it after the first set of recalls. Hexdrinker probably gets added to that lineup there as well, and if Levi's not getting wrecked in lane, should be able to get Arm Guard Gunblade. We'll see if those items do come through. Early laning phase goes to Trist early on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? We've seen actually every Akali player, I think, if it went to the end, get to that, at least that. FLICKR actually got pretty far beyond that because he had a kill and he had gotten turret plates, everything. He had tabbies, he had an elixir, he had like all kinds of stuff. But Uzi has created such enormous advantages. Like when you look at the Renekton versus Callista game, Levi wouldn't have had enough gold for that sort of an item set in that one. So we'll see how well Levi can play this out. I do believe he just used that Shroud, so that's going to be on cooldown. He will have to be playing it pretty safe in these early levels. You need some additional points in your queue before the wave clear can really become kind of threatening. And Uzi's going to be working away at that tower already.
A little bit of early damage. Going to get that first plate without too much difficulty. 120 gold, thank you very much. Charge knocks the minions a little bit low. It'll make the next bit of wave clear pretty easy as well. Bit of poke coming through from Levi, but we are seeing a CS difference. Decent damage. E hits the minion though, so not ideal there.
Yeah, you also got to remember that there is turret plating. I want to say for the first 1 or 2 minutes of the game. I know
the fortification accurate, to get half damage,
Yeah, excuse me. Fortification, not turret plating. Obviously, with that lasts much longer. So that first little bit of damage Uzi did on the turret will be much higher later on as that turret fortification should fall off. And that's where you're going to be getting pretty scared. But Uzi, happy to take this trade, jumps away after the health pack lands, mind you. So he will have, I believe, that damage buff. And he does have access to his own health pack.
All right, so health bar a little bit low, though. Levi, if he can find another E at some point, and the problem is the minion wave's not good for him. It's both going to block skill shots and deal damage back.
And also Uzi will hit 6 first because he's killed off more minions. So Uzi is actually going to back out before Levi can get 6, knowing that there is potential for an all-in there. Uzi will just take the health pack away from his opponent and will look to reset. I would be expecting a Hexdrinker. Yeah, he's just going to go straight for that. I think Jorm's Fist is smart, as you're talking about, but it feels like people are less comfortable going for that because it's not something they're as used to. So Hexdrinker Rush has pretty much been the build for all marksman players in these types of matchups thus far. Don't know where Uzi is going to take us after this, if he's going to try to build towards an item completion or an individual component that's very effective. We'll have to see what he wants to do.
Yeah, definitely some options. We've seen a lot of stopwatches. I wouldn't, by the way, ever build it until sudden death or you've died once, because if you immune a kill, you stop 400 gold. congrats, that item cost you more than that.
Yeah.
Like, and the opportunity cost of the stats it would have given you. So I don't think it's ever worth doing until the kill would end the game for you, and then it's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can bring in a stopwatch to sudden death and actually stopwatch the R2 from Akali or something like that, that can be a game-winning play because, you know, yes, Akali could win that potential 1v1 in a small enclosed quarter. We know Akali can burst down a marksman, but Triss can also buster shot you out into the Ring of Fire, which can be an advantage for her. So we'll see how Uzi's going to be able to play this out. But thus far, much more even than the Kalista versus Renekton game.
Yeah.
You know, Levi keeping close in the experience. His farm has been pretty good. He's been actually, you know, playing out this Akali match very well. Picks up another cannon there. So, you know, he's on pace to make this much more competitive.
Waits out the E-Ignite, comes in. Big damage coming across. As the rocket jump over the top. But back to his own turret. Needs to land the on
lost
with
vision.
That. Oh. When can Levi find a skill shot? Because Uzi's going to push this wave in. But now where can he go? He's waiting, and rocket jumps up in a couple seconds.
Yeah, Uzi didn't know how close Levi was in that brush, so he actually used the barrier. You know, Levi wasn't in range, but he didn't know, could he shuriken flip in and actually hit me down? So Uzi was, you know, one hit from death. It is a full trade, ults and both summoners down for both players, but Uzi, because he has all that lifesteal, is going to sustain up enough to stay around, where Levi, it's much more dangerous, it feels like. So Uzi's going to be able to get a second turret plate. Levi wants to stay around wave clear, wants to get that cannon, will miss it, and will lose, it looks like 2 more turret plates. So one has already fallen. Another one's going to fall at least on the next wave. And if you know that Levi recalled, you can actually stay around and potentially get it even lower. But Uzi's going to prioritize refilling his health, refilling his mana, and making sure that he's on even footing for any potential fight.
I think it's the right call. I think greeting for the 120 gold on that plate is not worth it. We'll see what he adds. Blue trinket picked up at level 9, I believe it is. You can buy a blue trinket. We've only seen some of the players recognize that, and looks like Hextrinker upgraded all the way into Maw, so we are seeing the upgrade path quite a lot. If you are going to call that item gold efficient, it's through the lifesteal and spell vamp that happens after the shield breaks. Otherwise, on a base stat level, it's not worth bidding. But if he's going for a more protected trade where you got a lifesteal back up, then that shield can be useful.
And we have seen that actually happen even just today, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the Lee Sin matchup where Bippo had, I believe it was that Maw, he actually got a ton out of the lifeline. You know, kind of healing that up. But we will see how Uzi is going to be able to play this out. As he has that full Maw, he has the double Doran, so he is going to be having a lot of sustain. And, you know, Levi does have to be careful because at a certain point, the turret plating falls, and then even all the bonus armor is going to be gone from those turrets that has stacked up after every additional plate is knocked off. The turret gets more tanky.
Yeah, the plate's at like 115 armor MR right now. It's like something pretty high, and then that goes back to 0. So it essentially takes double damage during sudden death.
And you have to remember that it is actually only a 1700 health turret, right? So when it's this low and it has no armor, and one round of kind of explosive shot will actually kill the turret potentially. So you have to be pretty careful about that, and that is why Levi is trying to wave clear aggressively and not allow Uzi to just step up and get those shots off for free. Yeah,
the last plate is under 1,000 HP on it. Like it's pretty easy to get, and when you have 140 attack damage, that's 7 autos and the game ends. So that's numbers you got to watch out for. That's timing you got to watch out for. Uzi can get a little bit of damage here, but has to respect what Levi could do back to him. Obviously, the wave clear not too bad on a level 10 Akali. He's one hit from that turret plate falling, and this is the last wave that you can really kill. And I would take the recall. There should be almost 1,000 gold in Uzi's inventory.
Yeah, Levi, I think, probably wants to clear this wave, get the final cannon, and make sure he has Gunblade Gold, right? And then it's just going to be all down to this fight. How can these guys play it out in the final moments? They're both going to be level 11, both combat sums up, Ignite, everything available, and the ultimates here. So we'll see. He does have the Gunblade. He does have an additional cloth armor. He gets a rejuve bead. That's probably the only gold he had. He would have been 50 gold off an elixir, which if you could have got, probably would have been better than the cloth plus the rejuve bead.
Yeah. Cloth was bought a while ago. Cloth was actually on a previous recall when he got like double longsword cloth armor, so that gets awkward with selling.
Then you obviously couldn't have done that.
To the elixir point though, for Uzi, I would have done longsword red elixir instead of vamp scepter. I think that would be just outright a better build, but we are Uzi in a pretty good spot. Gold, pretty close though.
Yeah, Uzi has to be a little bit careful because there is the 20% current health buff on Levi that does now expire. Uzi did not have it as he backed out, and Levi's looking for it. He doesn't want to wait too long for that Ring of Fire to close in.
And he wants to wait out the rest of the E, so it can't be charged anymore. Lands more auto attacks. Ignite goes on. That's when you might go for the pushback. Gets a bunch of damage into melee range. When's the knockback coming in? Finally does it, but he's not getting burned just yet. He's waiting out the Moss shield. Jumps backwards. This kill could go to Levi. Needs to land a Q and an auto attack. Can't get that one though, and the brush is going to run out. He's barely anywhere to stand. Invisible can't find the range. He's out of energy. puts the W down, and he burns down Uzi, gets the kill.
Oh, Levi with a little dance move there.
Knew it.
At the end, he knew he had been beaten. That was really damn close, though. You could see both players were trying to play around that buster shot. You know, Levi was trying to leave his shuriken flip up to hope that Uzi would buster shot into it, and then he could actually flip back in. Uzi was trying to wait until all of the movement spells were on cooldown to then buster shot, but he got too low and had to actually use it defensively. So this was a really close, well played out 1v1. Uzi does end up taking it 2-0, and here is that final fight again. See, notice how he's waiting as long as possible for that shuriken flip. Uzi pre-barriers the R2 there. And then the buster shot has to come down because he's getting too low. But the lifeline passive became pretty relevant here. He gets a little bit of damage, he jumps back, and he has lifeline active plus double Doran's Blade and whatever runes he had. Try to lifesteal up off these minions. So he's actually clearing it out. Look at this, 44 health per auto on those minions. That is a ton of health he actually got back. And then Levi with a little dance move, knew he was going to go down, died to an explosive shot off of the minion, but damn, that was close.
That was close. So smart stuff. Uzi, cutting back. He's like, all right, hey, you know what? This advantages me.
That life's
health's going up. Yeah, really, really big deal there. So maybe actually Van Pepper was better with how much he was actually hitting minions. It ended up being really nice. The melee minion, I was wondering how he got the damage, because the guy was stealth and it was hitting the melee minion. Spotted for 150, knocked him down. Yeah,
well, it would have been, you know, he would have had life steal from the Wrath Potion anyway.
I think it's champion only damage, I thought. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I could be wrong too.
I think Wrath is champion only. Actually, regardless, Uzi is the better player. Bwipo, Uzi, gonna be the battle in the final. That's gonna close out the day, so stay tuned throughout the rest of All-Stars for that climactic best of 3.
Uzi has been a monster.
Uzi's been an absolute monster.
Uzi has been slamming everyone, but Bwipo was counted out against the Shy. You know, people were thinking that the Shy was favored there. Bwipo managed to take that one down, but Uzi just doesn't seem to make mistakes. That is the craziest thing to me, is that even in these matchups that seem really, really difficult, he is always playing exactly around what his opponent's win conditions are. He is executing flawlessly on what he needs to do. He is CSing perfectly. Like, he is just doing everything right, and it is so hard to see holes in his game. So I'm excited to see what Bwipo can come up with.
Gonna be a lot of fun. So for more on how Uzi made his return to the 1v1 final, let's hear from the analysts.
Thank you very much. Uzi makes it and is going to be up versus Bwipo in the finals. And we're going to take a look at both of the semifinals to find out how exactly they did it, starting with Bwipo versus the Shy, which I did not expect to go that way from the beginning and the end, chat.
I mean, we talked to Bwipo before the day, and he had a certain level of confidence, but I don't feel like he always does. And he was able to get Pantheon. I don't really know how that happened. And then he was able to just kind of clutch it out in the final game and do good sudden death stuff on the ult.
I mean, the thing I like the most about watching Bwipo play is I feel like I see him learning over the course of the games. Like the one that was Aurelia versus Rengar from yesterday, he started playing it a little differently, holding his Ws. And I think that's something he's going to be able to use the best of 3 format really well for. But that big Pantheon play was the one where it was like, what? How do you get the Pantheon? Because this first one looks so dominant by the Shy.
Yeah, I mean, Bwipo also had his own facepalm moment when he used his
R
really early. But then this was the big question mark why the Shy even took the initial trade to put him in this position in front of 15 minions.
And why he left
then
open.
It's like, you could just do that on Pantheon to block turret shots.
There was like another trade that was really close, but it was like Bwipo took 3 turret shots. And then this is the one where he actually is able to chase up the lane a little bit.
Yeah, and we know Pantheon is very strong, so it was a mystery why he was open in the first place. But I do want to get your opinion on that last kill who's going to come right now, because I don't really understand how it happened.
The big thing is that Bwipo is able to chunk the Shy really hard before the real trade starts. The Shy, you don't see it. This replay's a little too late into it, but the Shy started with half health because he chased Bwipo up, who got the relic proc on his Q to actually drop around 25% of the Shy's health off a single Q, and then he got an E trade in as well. And so when they actually started ulting each other and trading summoners, he was already up like 500 health.
Yeah, there's some key stuff that Bwipo realized that maybe the Shy didn't. Mark mentioned the 20% current health buff you get after you've received a health shrine, so going back to grab that was huge. And then the second one would be the ramping gold cannon minions give you when you're behind, as well as experience. So there was about a level and a half discrepancy between the two. But the Shy recalled rather than keeping pressure on, which also allowed Bwipo to get cannons. And that's something Uzi didn't let Levi do in their matchup. So Uzi definitely knows those mechanics.
Those rules.
Yeah, Bwipo does as well, and the Shy did.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Whippo earned his victory.
He did, and as you said, let's take a look at that Uzi versus Levi victory as well. And something that's been brought up numerous times is if you give Uzi a lead, no, actually let me rephrase that, when he takes a little bit of a lead, he just knows how to push it in every situation.
And this was one of Uzi's go-to picks way back in 2016 when he won his first 1v1 championship. He's going to be going for his third overall 1v1 title, by the way, but it's just so satisfying watching Uzi play Callista. It's just, he knows always when he's going to have someone in kill range. Levi was really unable to estimate the damage, and Uzi basically played that Callista game flawlessly.
And then the lifeline passive here, you heard the casters talking about it, just how much he heals up. It's like 40, 50, 20, 50, and it takes it from a pretty even trade that probably favors Akali for getting the last 200 damage quickly and puts it 100% in Uzi's favor because now you have to do 600 damage. You're not going to do that.
Yeah, and Uzi's constantly delaying the enemy recalls. He's putting pressure on their turret as well, which is something almost no one else has been doing.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting matchup where it looks like Uzi's going to be able to stick with his just marksman picks in general.
Yeah, there's too many to ban out.
And we'll wonder kind of what Whippo's going to bring out, because Uzi's going to have to ban the Pantheon. Maybe Renekton? We're kind of trying to theory craft what's going to happen.
I think he would ban the Olaf, potentially.
That would be one of the better anti-ADC picks with the Snowball Olaf.
Snowball Olaf, and we've seen Whippo pretty good about just hanging on and clearing the wave with axes, and then when you get into sudden death, being able to all in.
Yeah.
So I think if you ban those two, he needs to have an answer, and then you almost need another answer because definitely Uzi's going to adapt in a best of 3 and ban whatever beats him once.
Yeah.
So Whippo needs 2 cards up his sleeve.
Well, I do think, it is a super difficult matchup for Whippo, right? But his flexibility that is shown could help. You know, the Rengar came out as well, for instance. And when you think about it, you know that Uzi is going to most likely play those AD carries or the marksman. So definitely ban out the Tristan stuff that can push you into the ring. Or have that mobility, I think.
Right. Some of them are a little bit easier to all in too, I think. Something like a Lucian is probably a little bit easier because he doesn't have quite as much self-peel. He just has that little dash, whereas a Tristana can shoot you out if you're not the Olaf and have the invulnerability. So, like, Tristana's really good in all-ins in that sense in the late game because she gets you out of the ring.
Vayne probably also beats Bruiser's late game.
Yeah,
so
Vayne,
I think that's going to be a ban for Whippo.
Not Vayne.
I mean, Uzi's really smart too. He's not just a mechanical player. Like the Jorum's Fist Vayne was like, oh my god, this thing has 2k HP.
Yeah, but to your point, Shocks, I think Whippo is actually one of the most versatile players we have in League of Legends, actually, because he played a season professionally in bottom lane and in top lane. Like
That's a good point.
We did so much to credit Perks for being able to swap between mid and bot. Whippo did it first, right? in terms of being able to play. He was playing a different set of champions.
Yeah.
But, so he's going to have theory crafting. All the other EU guys were in their own little pocket of practice to be able to have him raise the crown now the Caps.
They were tryharding so much. They practiced. I feel like every time I tell this, I add a couple of hours. So they practiced for 17 hours straight.
They were on the plane
for the 1v1, and to avenge Caps that got knocked out as ex-teammate. We'll see. But Uzi definitely the favorite. Let's take a look at the final bracket. It's pretty simple. It's Uzi versus Whippo in the final.
Yeah, it's the path they took to get here.
Yeah.
This is from the quarterfinals. Remember, this was a 32-player tournament, so you got to win 5 rounds in a row, including 2 best-of-3s back-to-back. So have a lot of consistency in these 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think stands out for Uzi over the course of these kinds of events. This is his 3rd final.
Yep.
Yeah. Out of 5.
Right.
I mean, he might have played more finals. You're thinking of it.
I think he lost pre-final because it was Pabu.
Yeah, I think Pabu
last year was
semifinal.
semifinal.
And I don't think Bjergsen beat Uzi in the final.
Oh.
Caps knocked out Uzi in the semifinal last year, I think.
Yeah, and then it was Pabu Caps final.
We know what we're talking about, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We'll see.
Yeah, I just have a lot of confidence in Uzi because he is a great combination of, like, I've theory crafted this matchup as well as the mechanics to pull it off.
Yeah, I've done my own theory crafting, and I thought that a top laner's champion pool would probably be advantage. So I was thinking the Shy was going to win it. But now that Whippo's upset the Shy, still maybe he would have some type of advantage. But like watching Uzi in these 1v1s throughout the years, it doesn't even really matter what champion should be the best. Back in 2016, he beat Peke and the other big mid laners with mid laners when they were the best. So based on his success so far with Marksman, he's probably going to stick with those picks because as we were talking about, it's probably too much to ban out. But I've gotten sufficiently hyped for this final. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. And I also think if you just look at, and this is no shade to Whippo whatsoever, but Uzi and the level of player that he is with those margins, it is just very hard to beat him. Is any of you willing to bet on Whippo for the final?
No.
Well, I got it.
That could happen, Shocks.
I will. Listen, it's not a surprise. I'm going to do it. We're taking a break now, though, but when we return, it is the TFT Littles Finals. Don't go anywhere.
See if he can chase in here.
Black
Wolf
Lever
on the
advantage.
Shy.
Look at that damage output. There's no way out. Barrier gets weighted out. One more Q could do him in. He couldn't get the fourth vital. Couldn't get the heal. And Whippo down 2,000 golden items advances to the finals. There's the cleanse to get away, but he's got to keep cutting backwards. This is way too much damage. He's dead to the Ren. There we go. Uzi at the range. He's out of energy. Puts the W down, and he burns down. Uzi gets the kill.